Everyone, welcome to the show. So, Abdul El Sayed, as you guys all know, he's running for the Senate in Michigan for the US Senate. And he just took the lead in a poll with a pollster that's considered to be one of the most legitimate, one of the best. So, take a look at this. This was posted just a couple days ago. It shows El Sayed leading Mike Rogers, leading Donald Trump's endorsed candidate, the Republican, Mike Rogers, by 7 points. Now, this is one of the first to show him ahead, so we have to take that into consideration, take it with a grain of salt, but we'll see. As people consolidate around him, as the vote consolidates around him after he beat Haley Stevens, we'll see what happens. Of course, there are Democrats out there who are acting like total spoiled brats who are saying, no, I'm never going to vote for him. If Haley Stevens doesn't win, I'm just not voting, or I'm going to vote for the Republican. So, we'll remember this. We will remember this, the progressive left will, in 2028. Rest assured. I will make sure that everybody on the progressive left remembers it if he should not win this election. And if we find out that a bunch of Democrats either defected or stayed home, I will make sure that everyone remembers it in 2028. That is my promise. Anyway, he just is making a fool out of Mike Rogers. And, basically, I think between the poll and just Mike Rogers seeing the mood of the country, how people reacted to his Islamophobic coded ad that he put out. For those who don't know, Mike Rogers sat with his wife, who looked like she was about to just go berserk any minute, but he sat with her and basically warned that, oh my God, we can't have this man win in the Senate. He can't win in Michigan, blah blah blah. And it was very much a dog whistle to the Islamophobes in the country. Didn't say it, but he didn't need to. So anyway, Abdul El Sayed, though, taking his lunch, making a fool out of him. So this is the latest. Take a look at this. This was an invite for both of them, for El Sayed and for Mike Rogers, to come and debate each other. This group invited them. They were going to host it. They were going to have, this venue. And they said, it's over a month away. So you have plenty of time to plan, to get here. There's some question as to whether or not Mike Rogers actually lives in Michigan or whether he resides in Florida, if he's just, in here trying to act as a spoiler. So anyway, guys, we don't know for sure, but here's the grok summary of this. It says on August 5th, Fox 2 Detroit and the Michigan Debate Commission invited both U.S. Senate candidates to a live debate on September 15, with El Sayed quickly agreeing and even sharing a $79 Frontier flight and $129 Delta nonstop from Miami. Rogers has not responded despite follow-ups, prompting El Sayed to call it avoidance and accuse him of preferring super PAC attacks over real talk. Rogers replied that his schedule is packed with voter meetings across Michigan, promising a workable date soon as the race heats up after their August primaries. So here is El Sayed's post. And he literally did post the price and a couple of flights. And he told Mike Rogers, hey, Mike, I looked into it. There's at least 2 flights that can get you to Detroit in time from Florida. So just totally mocking him. And then he said, or are you dodging because you're an empty suit with no original ideas? And, so anyway, Mike Rogers, of course, responded that he can't make it because he's meeting with the constituents who are turning against El Sayed. Here's what I love. This guy says in his bio, he is a husband, father, Michigander, Trump endorsed, Army veteran, former House Intel chief, FBI special agent who organized crime and who fought against organized crime and human trafficking. Really? So you are going to tout the fact that you fought against organized human trafficking, while in the same bio, you are touting the fact that you are endorsed by Donald Trump, a guy who was besties with the biggest, most prolific human trafficker in history, pretty much. A guy who is accused, a man who is accused of taking part in that human trafficking and accused of violating a child. This is what you're putting all in the same bio, Mike Rogers. Really? It's unbelievable. Anyway, it's clear that he is afraid to debate Abdul El Sayed because Abdul El Sayed actually has a coherent structure, coherent message, and actually cares about Americans and their suffering and wants to make things better. Meanwhile, Mike Rogers is just, holding on to Donald Trump's coattails, which is a bad play right now. Let me tell you, Mike Rogers, it is not what you think it is at this point. Yeah, you will go down with that ship. But, he sees things like this. So I have a reply from Abdul El Sayed. He was on a show recently and he was asked about some comments that JD Vance made. And he had, once again, a perfect reply. So check this out.
Syed, this guy running for Senate in Michigan, he once argued, not too long ago, that criticisms of Sharia law were rooted in white supremacy. I'd love to go back in time and tell my papaw that there's a man who claims to stand for working people who says not only should we have Sharia law, but if you criticize it, you're a white supremacist. That's not my papaw's Democrat Party, my friends.
I wonder what you heard in these comments.
Well, I'll tell you this. Every time J.D. Vance opens his mouth, the first two things I can think is, man, that guy's boring. And second, Peter Thiel had to spend a ton of money to get that man elected, barely, pointing to me to try and say that somehow I'm less American than they are. Now, what does that have to do with? I don't know, color of my skin, how I pray. But the confusing thing about it is that he thinks that there are some people who are more American than others because they can point to their papa who was here earlier. And my question to him is simply, why is it then? How do you look your parents-in-law in the eye and say that somehow they're less American than you are? Because that's what he's implying there. But bigger picture, this is about trying to change the channel. They're trying to dissuade us from actually paying attention to the issues that we see laid bare when we talk about our kitchen table budget every single month. Because the question Michiganders are asking is not about my parents. It's not about Sharia law, because there's like less than 1% of the entire country that's even Muslim. It's about whether or not you can afford your groceries, whether or not you can afford your gas, whether or not you can see a doctor if you get sick. And my name and my background aren't raising your gas prices. That's what the Trump administration is doing. My name and my background aren't picking trade wars to increase your costs. That's what the Trump administration is doing. My name and my background aren't the reason you can't see a doctor. That's because of the Medicaid cuts and the ACA cuts that are about to come down the pike next year because of what the Trump administration is doing.
Perfect response. I mean, this is how you do it. You pivot back to your message. You pivot back to what the people care about. You don't fight this nonsense. You don't fight the culture war BS. You don't, get distracted and play defense. You go on offense. And this is what so many Democrats don't know how to do. They're so busy fighting off the lies, fighting off the BS and the rhetoric coming from the right and trying to say, no, I'm not, you are, like it drags you down into their argument. We need to be fighting our argument. We need to be putting forth our argument. And how we are planning to help, how the Democratic Party can help the average American. So anyway, guys, and he's not perfect. He had an interview with Jesse Waters last night and gave, at least one bad answer that I saw. But overall, this is how you do it. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. Anyway, don't get me started singing and dancing because we'll be here all day. All right. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.